Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
This morning we're going to recognize David Barrett is going to give our invocation. But in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed that May the 15th would be National Peace Officers Memorial Day. And it was to always be on that week that where May the 15th fell. So this particular year, we're talking about May 13th through May 19th, and today so happens to be actually the 15th. In 1991, in October, there was dedicated the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And again, we're honoring those folks who have law enforcement who've made the ultimate sacrifice for our public safety. All of the flags are being flown at half-mast throughout the county. Commissioner Johnson brought this to our attention a couple of weeks ago, and we appreciate that. So we're going to today's meeting again. Chaplain Barrett will give our invocation, and then our color guard, the Sheriff's Color Guard, will present the colors. So if you will, please stand and remain standing for our pledges.
And Judge, just let me, on behalf of all the law enforcement in Tarrant County, thank the court for allowing this to happen. Shall we pray? Dear God, they are on our streets and our courts and other places of business 24/7. They wear different uniforms, drive different vehicles, and are called by different titles. One thing they have in common: they took an oath to protect us and enforce the peace that we all cherish. They are the men and women who speed toward tragedy and run into places from which others are fleeing. They are the warriors against crime and chaos, the unsung heroes of our free society. But on this Police Memorial Day, we do sing their praises and recognize their contribution to our safety and well-being. We thank you for each one of those who take on the unpleasant tasks so that we may live our good lives, often unaware of their presence and contribution. We especially bring before you the souls and families of the 362 officers whose names will be unveiled on the National Memorial this day. Be with each hurting one, and may the souls of the dead, along with the 19,298 of our comrades whose names are already on those sacred walls, rest in peace. Along with all those who serve, we thank you especially for all the men and women who make up the several law enforcement agencies within Tarrant County government. Continue to watch over and protect them. May they know your love and our deep gratitude as they lay it on the line every day. Amen.
Please join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order, right, peace. Forward, hooch.
be seated. Dave, thank you very much. Thank the color guard for their presentation. Thank y'all. Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have two announcements relating to the agenda this morning. The first is under the Administrator's Office. This is going to be the out-of-state travel request, item 9A11. There's a revised court communique that we've placed in your red folders this morning. We simply deleted one department request for outside travel. Also, I'd like to remind the court that today at 2 o'clock we have the IT Steering Committee that's going to be meeting in the Family Law Center. And then finally, Your Honor, I believe that Commissioner Brooks has an introduction.
Commissioner?
Thank you, Your Honor. It is my pleasure to welcome to Tarrant County Mr. Chris Potter, who is the team leader for a Rotary International Group Study Exchange Program. They are a 5-person team. They have been in this country for 3 weeks and have approximately 1 more to go. Chris Potter from Melbourne is the team leader and is the health specialist on the team. He is looking at all aspects of our health care delivery system in Tarrant County, including health care for the homeless, for the indigent, for those incarcerated in our jails, at the public health system, at health disparities, all of which are situations that they face to the same or greater or lesser degree in Australia. Also part of his group is an expert in emergency and disaster management. That person today is in Denton County looking at their system. At disability services, that person is at the Fort Worth ISD looking at their special education program. In what they call megatronics and we call robotics, that person is at the UTA Robotics Center. And finally, there is a law enforcement expert who's spending his time at the Fort Worth Police Department. I'd like to introduce and present Mr. Chris Potter. Chris, if you would come to the podium and give us just a little bit about this delegation and what you hope to accomplish here. Please know that you are welcome. Chris, as you can see, is already wearing the courthouse pin, so he has been inducted into our county family. Chris Potter.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks, and thank you, Judge, for the invite today as well. I really very much appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I'd like to say up front as well, really appreciate the great hospitality we've had in Texas. We've had a fantastic time in the first 3 weeks, and I know we're really looking forward to the final week. Just a bit about the program. It's a Rotary International Exchange program. So the Rotary District here, District 5790 in Texas, has been over to Melbourne. So a team of 5 have been across and looked at various aspects of their own vocational areas. They came back on the 23rd of April and we came over at the same time. As Commissioner Brooks has said, there's a team of 5 of us. We've had the first 3 weeks really looking at all the sort of different cultural aspects of Texas and been shown lots of different facilities and also went to the baseball game as well, so that was good fun.
Did we win?
Didn't win, actually, no. We chose the wrong game in that respect. But we had a great time there. We've been to lots of different, sort of community organisations. One of the things that's really struck me and struck the team is the degree of, in terms of volunteerism, the degree of partnership, the degree of collaboration between organisations has been absolutely fantastic. So we've really appreciated the time we've had here. The way the program runs is we get hosted by Rotarian families, so we're currently on our 7th host family, and everyone's been very, very welcoming and has shown us their part of Texas. We've had a week in Burleson, we've had a week in Abilene. While we were in Abilene, we went up to Stamford for a day. We then moved across to Breckenridge for 3 days, to Graham for 3 days, back to Fort Worth for a week, and then in Fort Worth again for this week for the vocational visits. So we've had a tremendous time. We're learning an awful lot. I've already seen lots of different aspects of the health system, even in the first 3 weeks, and hoping to see a lot more in this week as well. So I think there's going to be learning both for me, for the team, and hopefully for some of the people we're visiting as well, because we're sort of passing on some of the ways we do things. And there are differences in the system, there's differences in the funding arrangements, but essentially we're facing some very, very similar challenges. Thank you very much.
Chris, we appreciate you being here. Mr. Wilder and myself are members of a club out in the HEB area. One of the other persons in my office, Catherine Rotter, is also. In fact, she's the president-elect of our club now.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have a number of people, and I'm sure there are probably other people in the audience who are involved with Rotary. Commissioner Fickus,
Yeah.
Commissioner Wynn. So it's it is a great organization. As I mentioned to you, they were last night. They were sponsoring the top 10 folks. The HEB Club was, and so there's a lot of different activities that they do in this area. We're privileged, and it's great to have you here. And we hope that has the team already. There'll be a team from this district that will go back to.
They've already been out.
They've already been out there.
Yeah, they've had a month from about the 23rd of March through to the 23rd of April.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
they had a great
they've
time.
been in. They're back.
They have. Yeah.
We appreciate you, and we hope that you have a great time. And if there's anything else we can do to make your visit here a good one, please let some of us know, and we'll be glad to do whatever we can.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
for your
Chris.
time. Thank you.
Additionally, I'd like to thank Dr. Paul Geisel, our very own community icon, for showing Chris around this week. Thank you, Dr. Geisel.
Court members, you have before you the minutes of our May 8th meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have two, a proclamation and a resolution. Commissioner Brooks.
Your Honor, I've got a proclamation recognizing Elder Abuse Prevention Month. Would you please read it into the record?
Whereas people who are elderly or have disabilities have contributed to the general welfare of this community by helping to preserve customs, convictions, and traditions of many people from diverse backgrounds, and whereas these residents are vital and integral members of our society, and their wisdom and experience have enriched our lives, and whereas abuse of the elderly and people with disabilities in domestic and institutional settings is a widespread problem affecting hundreds of thousands of people across the country, and whereas in 2012 abuse affected more than 58,068 Texans who are elderly or have disabilities, and whereas elder abuse is grossly underreported because the elderly who are being abused find it very difficult to tell anyone and are usually ashamed and sometimes afraid. And whereas elder abuse happens to men and women of all income levels, all cultural and ethnic groups, whether they are in good health or incapacitated in some way, in poor neighborhoods or in suburbia. And whereas many of the cases investigated by Adult Protective Services in Texas involve self-neglect, and it is our duty as citizens to reach out to people in need. And whereas we ask the residents of Tarrant County to join hands and protect the elderly and disabled, and reach out to your communities by reporting senior abuse to the proper authorities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2012 to be Elder Abuse Prevention Month in Tarrant County, and urge all citizens to work together to help reduce abuse and neglect of people who are elderly or have disabilities. In witness whereof, we've hereunder set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 15th day of May, 2012.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The abuse of the defenseless among us is one of this community's greatest tragedies. I thank God for organizations like Adult Protective Services, which hopes to break the cycle of abuse of our elderly. We have with us this morning to accept this proclamation Ms. Deborah Cortez of Adult Protective Services. She's the program administrator, and Ms. Lisa Scruggs, an APS initiative specialist. Ladies, would you please join me at the podium?
I'd like to thank the commissioners for acknowledging the that we need an awareness of what happens. Many people don't want to talk about abuse, neglect, or exploitation. Public awareness is what's going to help us through this. We can't do it without y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Commissioner Fickus.
Yes, I have a congratulatory resolution for the Westlake Historical Preservation Board concerning the Westlake Historical Marker Dedication Day, which is this past Saturday. This has been presented. I would move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have motion and seconds. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have several public hearings this morning. I believe the first is Patricia, or is
Your Honor, on the public hearing for item A, there was an error on the agenda on this. We will need to postpone this particular action.
okay?
I apologize for that.
No problem. Ms. Lamb.
Thank you, Judge. I'm here today to request that the court consider the installation of signs reading "No parking for commercial vehicles between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. on the public right-of-way." This is in Precinct 1, and it's the result of a petition we received from the citizens in Carson Ranch Estates. It will restrict commercial vehicles from parking within the public right-of-way within the subdivision between the hours stated.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. There appearing to be none, then I will close the public hearing.
I move adoption of the installation of the signs.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second item today is a public hearing to ask the court to consider the removal of a yield sign and to replace that yield sign with a stop sign on Oak Grove Road at Burleson Retta Road in Precinct 1. This is at the request of Precinct 1.
I will open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. There being none, then I will close the public hearing.
This is one of several items that we've undertaken in the past couple of weeks to improve the traffic flow and the safety of the road network in the unincorporated area of Precinct 1. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And our final public hearing today is to request that the court consider the installation of a stop sign on Dido Hicks Road at Morris Dido Newark Road in Precinct 4. This is the request of Precinct 4. I think it's actually the request of Commissioner Johnson. So we're asked here today that the court would consider that action.
I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. There being none, then I will close the public hearing.
I'll move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Lamb. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have two items yet to bring to you this morning. The first, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court receive and file the annual independent financial audit of Tarrant County for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2011. This includes the independent audit itself, the report to management, the single audit reports, the CAFR, and the Texas Juvenile Probation Commission grant funds report.
Move approval to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I just want to say I appreciate all the work that went into this. I know it was a good process, and I appreciate the work that y'all did, KPMG, as well as our internal audit department. So thank y'all very much for that. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, on item number 2, we're requesting that the court approve the abatement and demolition contract between Tarrant County Hospital District and D.H. Griffin of Texas in the amount of $3,150,000 for the project, which is located at 1401 South Main Street, which is the old St. Joseph Hospital, and also to approve an owner-controlled allowance and budget in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for completion of the final site grading, landscaping, and improvements.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Tidwell. And congratulations to your department on getting another one of the CAFRs and the audits behind us.
Well, I would have to recognize Ms. Laura Wiest and Ms. Suzanne McKenzie, because without them, we would struggle dearly. They do spend untold hours and effort making it appear to be a seamless process. I know it isn't, but it appears that way.
I've been reading it.
Very good.
Yeah, he even asked some questions this morning, so.
So just want to let you know, we do
Okay.
care.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. It will help you sleep at night, I'm sure. Parts of it. We have one item for your consideration this morning, and that's to approve an update to the Medical Benefit Claims Administration funding. We brought this same topic to you approximately a year ago. We are repeatedly required to fund our health benefits to the third-party administrators for health and other types of claims in advance of being able to put them on the claims register, and you gave me authority to actually pay these and then report on the claims register the following week the amount that we'd actually sent to the providers like United Healthcare. We did not include the dental provider last year, Delta, and so we're specifically adding Delta Dental and also just relisting and the amounts associated with the United Healthcare, Express Scripts, Payflex, and then Delta. We're not doing anything but sending money to these providers who are paying the claims for the county's employees.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Phillips.
Mr. Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve change order number 1 to the Sigma Mechanical contract for the HVAC smoke purge and generator replacement at the Cold Springs Jail.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve the professional services contract with Frugro Consultants to provide construction materials engineering testing for the Civil Courts Building project included in the Capital Improvement Program.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glenn?
I move to receive and file personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Glenn.
Good morning, Ms. Glenn.
Well, we'll work you out on that one. Mr. Beecham?
We have one item for your consideration this morning. It is a RFP, number 2012-086, for outdoor media advertisement for the Public Health Department. Recommendation be to award for contract terms awarding certain dollar amounts to Lamar Advertising, CBS Outdoor, and Clear Channel Outdoor.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Skinner?
Members of the court, we have two items for your consideration today. First, we are requesting your approval of an interlocal agreement with the City of Mansfield related to improvements to the intersection of Debbie Lane and Matlock Road. This project will utilize Precinct 2 discretionary bond funds.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second item is we're requesting your approval of an interlocal agreement with the City of Mansfield related to improvements to the intersections of Debbie Lane at 287 and Walnut Creek at US 287. This project will also utilize Precinct 2 discretionary bond funds.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Interlocal agreement, Commissioner Wynn.
I move for the approval of items K1, A, and B, which is an interlocal agreement with the City of Mansfield for the construction of parking area at the Philip Thompson Soccer Complex.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments? There being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manias, briefing items.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have one item for you this morning. This concerns the monthly update from the Tarrant County Hospital District. Mr. Early is here to address the court at this time.
With some very good news indeed.
Thank you. First, let me begin by thanking y'all for the motion that you supported and you seconded and that you voted on St. Joe's. We've really spent a lot of time on the St. Joseph's building in trying to figure out what's best for it. And what you want to do is take something that is so historical and meant so much to this community and preserve it and protect it. I thought I would give you a little bit of an update as to what we're going to do. The demolition will be slower because you have to pretty much demolition it by brick because of the asbestos and other problems. So we're expecting a 180 to 240 day demolition of it. At the end of that, what that $500,000 referred to that Mr. Maney has talked about is we want a green space in that location until the next building goes up, whenever that may be. And the green space will be more than just a green area. We plan to put a walking track around it in various stations for exercise programs for our employees and guests in this and anybody in the community that wants to come and utilize that land. The other thing that we're doing, and you all will get an invitation if it fits your schedules, is we're having a reception with the Alumni Association of St. Joseph's. We've been working a lot with the Catholic Diocese and others that were instrumental in bringing St. Joseph's here many years ago. And some of the members of the nursing crew and the crew that was at St. Joseph's have alumni association. And so we're having a reception for them to give them an update, and we've kept them up to date the whole time from the historical aspects of this. We're very cognizant of that, those individuals, because they're not only dedicated to the building, but we want to honor them for what they did in Tarrant County and particularly Fort Worth. So we're going to do that. So thank you for your motion and your support.
I'd like to just reiterate a conversation that we've had on more than one occasion about the St. Joseph Hospital facility. That was the only hospital in town for many years where African American physicians could admit patients, and that was to the basement of that hospital in a ward called St. Anthony's. Again, I'd like to see some permanent recognition on that site of that particular piece of history.
There's two things that we hope to do. One is to, and of course, as you all know, we're saving a percentage of the bricks so that we can build a monument to St. Joseph's and the subdivision of St. Anthony's as well. But also, whenever a new building goes there, it's my intent to have a floor of that building that has historical pictures of what sat on that site before it became the building that it will be in the future. And they did a great job at the state capitol of doing that in the annex, of putting the old pictures of when they first erected the capitol. I'd like to do the same thing for St. Joe's and the St. Anthony ward as well, so that people go into that new building will know what it used to be and what it meant. But I appreciate your counsel and your advice, and we'll keep you informed the whole way.
I thank you for your sensitivity to that issue.
You bet. It's a real important factor, and I've met so many people in the community that have shared so many great stories about St. Joseph's, and those that you have shared as a young boy delivering lilies and poinsettias at Christmas and all. Those are powerful, and we need to preserve that. So thank you very much. In the last 4 weeks at JPS, we have had a level 1 trauma survey where a group of 5 physicians and nurses came in to review us for our level 1 trauma. When that concluded, we had our joint commission review, and we had 6 surveyors come in and review us from everything from the expiration dates on fire extinguishers to the ease of exit and entrance to the facility, as well as all of our medical conditions and where we were and how we provided care. And then last week we went live with our total paperless system and going from paper to computer. So we're just trying to devise what we do next month at JPS, because we've been incredibly busy trying to figure out all those things. And I'm going to report briefly on all of those areas to you. The Level 1 Trauma Survey, which I think being the Level 1 Trauma Center for Tarrant County is very important for you as a court and us as a hospital to present that to our community. And I want to tell you that the surveyors had glowing remarks for us. They were very pleased with what JPS represented in Level 1 trauma care. The one recommendation that they suggested for us, because they'll come back in 3 years, is that we improve and increase our research. They said, you do a great job at delivering level 1 care. Now you need to up it to include more research. So it's our intention to bring in more physicians, more trauma physicians that have a research background and can help us publish research that is typical for our community. And that will help our community. And I'm going to meet with the Chamber of Commerce and talk about those programs, and I'll keep you all informed about the type of research that we'll be doing that will be based on information that will be important to our community.
Do you intend to collaborate in that research with any of our local educational institutions that
Most definitely.
research for a living?
You bet, most definitely. And we've got such a great variety of them here in the community, from UTA to the University of North Texas Health Science Center, where your reference is certainly to what they do, and also even to the area and UT Southwestern and others. We've got a great opportunity to enhance our research with some of the partners we already have. But most definitely.
You know, I would say that there's been a lot of discussion, and you're aware of this through the Chamber, from a standpoint of a medical destination, making Fort Worth a medical destination center. And one of the things that they keep, pointing to over and over is that we need at least one nationally recognized hospital and one nationally recognized children's hospital. Certainly, I think Cook's is certainly very close. I think your point to the research, there's no reason why that nationally recognized hospital could not be the county hospital.
Well, and I appreciate your comments. Here's my attitude towards JPS at the present time. I think we've elevated JPS to providing services to this community that are needed. And I think we do a good job. I think the question that JPS and you as a court have, and we as the future looking, is does JPS just want to provide services, or do we want to elevate and become national leaders at a variety of situations? And certainly in level 1 we can do that. Personally, my mission is we can take JPS to higher places. We don't just have to offer decent and good care. We can raise it beyond where it is. And everybody that comes in an organization needs to understand that.
With the teaching that you already have going on over there and adding the research, I think you are stepping certainly and moving in the right directions from that standpoint, and I would encourage you to do everything we can to make that happen. Also, the 1115 waiver, I know you're hard at work on that. Do you want to kind of give us any kind of a update? Or
I do. I'd be happy to give you an update on the waiver. The 1115 waiver now the region has been decided, and our region is Region 10, and that will include Tarrant County, it will include Hood County, it will include Navarro County, it will include Ellis County, Johnson County, Wise County, and Erath County, and Parker County. Those will be the counties that are in our region as we look as a continuum of care. And one of the emphasis is that we'll look at trying to figure out what works best for that region in hopes that we can look at a few issues. One, particularly how you reduce the amount of folks coming into all the emergency rooms in Tarrant County. And we did a study 2 years ago that indicated that 41% of our emergency rooms in Tarrant County were overutilized. We have too many folks coming for the wrong reasons to our emergency department, and that's inside our county and outside of our county. If we can have a better system of preventative care, it helps all of us. Because when you go into an emergency room, it's the most expensive care you're going to find. So we can do a whole lot better about that. So the 1115 waiver is going well. We will now begin to break it up into committee work and begin to work it into a working process. I had a wonderful meeting the other day with some of the CEOs here in Tarrant County, and they're beginning to understand the concept that this is a Tarrant County in our region effort. This is a region effort, but the region are those counties that I outlined, not other counties. Although we'd like to be philanthropic to other counties, it's first us. And then we'll set a model that I think others will like to look at.
Well, I appreciate not only the way you've communicated with the other hospitals within Tarrant County, but also with the county judges in those counties that you mentioned, bringing them on board and pointing out to them the benefits of this new effort for them.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. The last two things I wanted to go over with you is our survey that we got from Joint Commission. The Joint Commission, as I mentioned, comes into a hospital every 3 years, and they look at everything. In a normal individual's life, it's like waking up on Monday and 6 IRS auditors are at your door saying, I'd like to spend the week with you.
Unannounced.
Unannounced. Yeah, they don't come announced.
I think that's a great event.
Well, you are the anomaly.
That was my business.
I understand. You showed up unannounced. But in this case, historically, JPS has looked at that time as one of fear. And how can we turn out the lights and be real quiet and pretend we're not here? And that's not a good approach. So not only have we changed our attitude towards looking at Joint Commission, but we're to the point now where we say, welcome. We want to show you what we're doing. And so what happened to us in this Joint Commission review is we had a 31% reduction in the items that they wrote us up on, and that's significant. And the items that they mentioned to us were de minimis. They were smaller items. They were items suggesting that the door hinges were on the wrong side of the door, or they mentioned that one of the doors was stuck because of the new paint that was on it. And I don't mean to make them all minimum, but they were not issues that, one, would cause them to come back within their 3-year cycle, and two, there was nothing in there that said you have to have supervision and you have to immediately resolve this or we'll consider further steps and further action. The other thing is 20 departments that they reviewed at JPS had no findings whatsoever, and that's been unheard of. the greatest compliment that the surveyors paid us on the last day of the exit exam is they said and these are all folks from out of state. Actually, the one nurse was from San Angelo, but they're usually from out of state. And one of the things that they said when they were departing in our exit interview is they said, if we needed health care and we were in the North Texas region, we would come to JPS for our health care. And you talk about a morale booster, because we've been working folks at JPS pretty hard, and we've been trying to change the culture. And that was their first sign that somebody from the outside said, you're doing the right things. So the team back at JPS is wonderful, and they need to be complimented because they worked really hard at this, and I'm real proud of them. I just went for the ride, but those people did the work, and they did a great job at that. The other thing I want to let you know is we've been really aggressive. One of the things that costs you and the taxpayers money is when you have a poor retention rate and when you can't retain particularly your nurses. We have 1,600 nurses at JPS, and we've struggled with retaining them. There is this belief, sort of like a New York belief, if you can cut it at JPS, you can cut it anywhere. So sometimes we have younger nurses that come into our program, stay at JPS 2 years, and then look more, from a job standpoint, more attractive in other networks. We're trying to get them to stay at JPS. So one of the things is we have a vacancy rate that I haven't been proud of. In our nurses, we had a 12.5% vacancy rate, which is not where you want to be. In the last 3 months, we've reduced that to 5%. And the reason we've done that is we've got an interim chief nurse named Wanda Peebles, and she's spectacular, and she's done an incredibly great job. As you well know, our chief nurse was in an accident over Christmas and has yet to be able to come back. Wanda has picked up the pace and really done a great job. She's done that through our new HR vice president, and we've really stretched out in a lot of areas, including some of our more aggressive diversity hiring. We've had job fairs just for nurses, which I know is a novel idea. It's just one that didn't get to JPS. And so now we have nursing fairs, and we've brought in a huge amount of folks to begin to reduce that. And that's important to y'all from the standpoint of cost and effectiveness. So unless Mr. Manias has something else for me, that's all I have for y'all. You okay?
That's quite
okay.
I have one more thing for you, Robert.
Yes, sir.
And that is with the federal and state cuts in women's health services, we at JPS need to begin looking at how we're going to fill that gap, because just because the feds and the state don't want to pay for women's health services doesn't mean that our significant women, those who we love, don't still need to be served. So JPS is probably going to need to step up its game in that area and come up with a plan to fill those shortages.
I agree, and the women's services that we provide are excellent, and we need to make sure that they continue to be, and then, as you said, fill in the gaps where needed, and I think that's important. I appreciate y'all's support. I really do. I appreciate the interest that you constantly show at JPS. And when you have constituents that have issues, I really appreciate the fact that your staffs call us. We begin to try to solve those issues and deal with people one-on-one and get past the anecdotal and the emotional side of it and get to the problem-solving side of it, because that's where it matters to the people that live in your precincts. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Manning.
It's always good to see you. Your Honor, we do not have any other briefing items. Also, there is not a need to go into closed session today.
Whoa, that's good. That's very good. I know that County Clerk's Office, or Holly, do you have somebody that you wanted to introduce this morning? Yes, you or Mary Louise Warren. So.
This is Dusty Sanders. Mary Louise has asked us to make sure that we bring our management staff and to meet different members of the Commissioners Court and the department heads. And so Dusty comes from our criminal section, our court section. So she's here observing the Commissioners Court. She's been with us about 20 years now.
Dusty. Very good. Thank you, Dusty. With that, there's no other business, then we are adjourned.
Until the IT still implementing it.
Praise the Lord. I wish, except that it's a posted meeting.